Hello, this is John Chernus, and in this lesson we're going to introduce you to the Wireshark program and how this protocol analyzer program is used to capture traffic on the network wire, and then we can come back and study the traffic in quite a bit of detail. What we're going to do is capture a very simple network session. We're going to save that session, and then we're going to refer to that session quite often through the lessons to illustrate a various concept or protocol in the 4-layer TCP/IP model. You're going to see that just one simple session generates quite a bit of information about the network connection, and then we can actually study various components of that brief session we're going to do right now to learn about the 4-layer TCP/IP model and what's going on in a typical type of network connection. So, to make a long story short, we're going to go ahead and get started here. And what I first want to do is go ahead and start up the Wireshark program. I have it here on my desktop. You probably do also after you installed it in the previous lesson. So I want to get that loaded. Just go ahead and wait for that to load. First time this loads, it can take a while, and subsequent times you load it in the same time period without rebooting your computer, it comes up pretty fast. So now that I have that loaded, I'm just going to minimize it here. And then I'm going to, not capturing any traffic right now by the way, now I'm going to start up Internet Explorer and get that loaded. This also takes a little while to load on this particular machine I'm doing the capturing on. So I'm just waiting for that to load. My default home page will come up, which is Google, I believe. So I just want to wait for that to load, and then we can get started. So that should be loading any time now. There it is. Okay, now we're good to go. So again, all I'm going to do is very briefly capture a very quick type of connection. I'm going to go to a website and capture that entire session in the packet sniffer / protocol analyzer Wireshark, which we just loaded. Before you do anything, what you really want to do always whenever you're doing these sessions is to clear your browser cache. And that's done in Internet Explorer by clicking on Tools and then Internet Options. Depending on what version of the browser you have, it may be a slightly different step. This is Internet Explorer 8. I'm going to make sure Delete Browsing History on Exit is checked. I'm going to hit Delete. All my categories here are checked for deleting. I want to clear everything out of the browser cache. Hit Delete. And then you need to wait for that to come up on your screen. It should pop up shortly here. It'll say it's deleting the cache. There it is, deleting the browsing history and anything else in there. And the browser cache is actually good in most cases. It's to save you on network traffic, because what happens is your browser looks in the cache, which is just files on your hard drive, to see if you've already visited the site. If you've already visited the site within a brief amount of time, it will just show the information in the cache instead of regenerating the network traffic and creating extra traffic on the wire. But what we want to do is make sure we generate that traffic, and that's why I'm always going to delete the browser cache whenever I do these demonstrations, and you should do the same thing when you do your own project. So now that I've got that done, I hit OK, and now I'm going to basically, you got to time this right, it's a bit of a timing issue. I'm going to go back here. I've got Wireshark minimized. Here's the default screen when you start up Wireshark. What I want to do is always, when I'm going to capture traffic, go to Capture and then go to Interfaces. On your computer, in the computer lab where you're doing this project, you most likely will only have one network interface card. I actually have two. One is my wireless here. You see that the wireless card. I actually have that turned off right now because I don't want to capture any traffic on my wireless. I'm going to stick with basically a wired connection network card that's in my laptop, and here's the IP address of my computer. Every time you do this, this is what you need to do. You need to, before you hit start, go to options. Don't hit start yet, go to options, click options, and when options comes up, you need to uncheck the capture packets in promiscuous mode. You learned about promiscuous mode in the second lesson when I had you go through an animated packet sniffer tutorial, and they actually showed you that when your computer's in promiscuous mode, it's actually capturing all the traffic on the network. on that particular network. We don't want to do that because we want to keep it simple here and only capture the traffic that's coming and going between the computer you're using for this project. Also, we have no need to capture other people's traffic. That can be also a privacy issue, and we don't want to get into any issues with that. So we just want to stick with our own computer and the traffic we're generating on that computer. So again, always uncheck that box before you start capturing any traffic on the network. Now I'm ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and hit start here, and as soon as that starts, what I need to do is come down to my screen down here and go back to my Internet Explorer window, and I'm going to type in the following address: www.sdsu.edu. That's the website for San Diego State University. I'm going to hit enter, and then within a second or two I should have the San Diego State University website. It's loaded, everything's there. Now I'm going to come back to Wireshark down here, and I'm just going to go to capture, and I'm going to go to stop. You can also do Control E, as you see there, capture stop, and now I've captured that entire sequence that just took a couple of seconds. So you'll notice right away that in this column number there's 235 packets. It'll vary when you do your own, and as I scroll up here on the right side, I have a scroll bar here. You can see that quite a bit of activity happened here. We see many protocols here. We're going to study all of these. Well, not all of them, the majority of these that are listed here. ARP, we're going to study ARP. We're going to study DNS. We're going to study TCP. We're going to learn about that. We're going to study HTTP. And you're going to see some of these repeat: TCP, HTTP, TCP, DNS. These are all the main type protocols that are going on with TCP/IP. So we're going to be actually using this session as kind of a benchmark for studying the TCP/IP protocol. We will do others, but this one's going to be the fundamental capture session we're going to refer to. The thing you want to do is you want to save this session so you can revert back to it. I want to show you how that works right now. So we're not going to do a whole lot here initially, except just getting the capture file created and saved, and then we'll come back for some other lessons. So once this is saved, it looks like I've got a pretty good amount of information here in this session. I'm going to go to File, and I'm going to go to Save As. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually overwrite this one, lesson1.pcap. That's the name of a practice one I did earlier, and that's going to be the one I do here. So I could type that in. You don't really need the extension on there. Lesson underscore capture 1. That's a good name to start with. And I'm going to hit save. And again, I have this from a prior practice session I did before I made this demonstration. You won't have this. I'm just going to say overwrite that file. So now you can see up here I have my capture session saved as lesson underscore capture 1.pcap. PCAP's the extension that Wireshark uses. Now let's see if this actually did save. I'm going to go ahead and close Wireshark right here, clicking the X. And I'm going to go ahead and close this browser window that has the San Diego State website loaded. And what I'm going to do is actually go to my documents where the lecture capture, sorry, not the lecture capture, the Wireshark capture is saved. So I'm going to open that up. And I'm going to try to open it and see if Wireshark did remember this session. You can see right here, lesson underscore capture 1.pcap. Let me just double click on that. And then let's wait. You'll notice Wireshark automatically loads. And there it is. This is the same session I did. You can see ARP, you can see DNS, you even see the query here for SDSU. That just proves that it's the same file. We'll talk about how that works in another lesson. And it's all here again. 200. If I scroll down here, we'll see how many frames. Keep your eye on the left side of the screen under the number column. That's over here. As I move down, I can just move my mouse down here. Also it moves. I get all the way to frame 235. So that's how many I have in the entire session. So it looks like we did a good job and have this captured. And I'm going to go ahead and close this now. Close Wireshark. And I'm going to stop now. And then we will proceed with the next lesson shortly.